how can you understand the ATS to help you in your job search? Here are the topics that we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what exactly is an applicant tracking system, or abbreviated to be ATS. We'll go over the anatomy of a job description and how you can then format your resume to be ATS friendly, and the Q&A portion. All right, so let's dive in and talk about what an ATS is. An ATS is a computer software program that simplifies and speeds up the hiring process for organizations. I feel like these statistics are pretty astounding, but over 97% of Fortune 500 companies use ATS, while 66% of large companies and 35% of small organizations do rely on ATS systems to assist them in their hiring practices. These softwares are, basically recruitment softwares that track each applicant's qualifications and their information on their application, which would be your resume and cover letter and the application you fill out on the career page. Or on the application page, excuse me. Employers use a wide range of ATS systems. There are, at last I looked or read, there were over 200 on the market, but the most common ATS that we see, or that you'll probably see, are Greenhouse, Workday, Taleo, and iCIMS, ICIMS. Now, how do you know if the company you're applying to is using an applicant tracking software? When you click apply on the job, on the career page or on the job board, and it takes you to the company career page, you would be taken to an external link from the company's website to a new one. This is what happens the majority of the time. For instance, you'll notice that the company name is no longer in the search bar URL, or it has the ATS attached to its name, and or the web page layout is slightly different from the company's website. Sometimes companies do have their own built-in ATS systems like Amazon, and so that's a little harder to tell. But if you notice that you click on the job application link and you look at the URL, the name of the ATS can or would pop up in the address bar. This is one of the more popular ones too, Lever. And you can see jobs.lever.co, Bustle, and then the job ID. So this was a job at Bustle. So the person who was applying for this job, or we were looking at the job posting and clicked apply, you are taken to the applicant tracking system that Bustle uses to house all of the applicants that come in for a particular job. So that's how you can tell. And if you're not quite sure, you can always Google the applicant tracking system name to make sure that the job you are applying for actually uses the ATS. So you can see here, if you Google Lever, it says it's a recruiting software. It specifically says ATS in the search results. So that gives you a clue, or the fact, I guess it helps you find out that it actually is an ATS. And how they work, there's been a lot of information out there about how they work, and, getting, declined by the ATS and those types of things. So ATS systems are a way for employers to manage their hiring processes. A lot of times what will happen is a job is posted and information is gathered on each applicant, or it is, scanned in the algorithm of the software, and then the system would sort of rank you based on the job description, or give you a score for a match to keywords and experience and education. It depends on how the hiring manager and the recruiter creates the information on the ATS system for that particular job posting, how the ATS will be used for that role. Typically, it is used to search for keywords and things like education and experience matches. And even though not every single organization uses an ATS, the majority of them do it to help streamline the application review process because many companies receive dozens, or even for remote work, we're finding hundreds of applications for each open position. And then having the system in place will allow them to more quickly identify who the top candidates are because they're able to give commands, if you will, to the system to highlight or ping or star those candidates that meet the criteria. So a top candidate, however, is a subjective term, right? This is where and why tailoring your materials is a key part of the job search process. So you have to pay attention to what you are applying for, and every job description that you are reading, every job that you apply to needs to be reviewed for the specific requirements listed on that posting, for the specific requirements, the qualifications, and the skills on the posting. Then you can tailor your resume to reflect as many of the specific requirements, qualifications, and skills that you are able to. And just keep in mind, you do not have to have 100% of the requirements or the qualifications or the skills that are listed in the job posting. Job postings are a wish list from an employer. If you have 60% or more of what the employer is looking for, you can absolutely put together a competitive application, and you absolutely need to highlight what skills you do have that the company is looking for as much as possible, but it doesn't have to be 100%. We recommend being safe and using a Word-based document when you upload your resume into the system. Now, the system or the application that you're filling out will tell you what type of files are acceptable to upload. The reason we recommend a Word document is because you might not know or be able to tell how the system can parse or upload and incorporate the information on a document like a PDF or a Pages file or another format. And so we feel like a Word document is the best bet. Once you upload your resume, sometimes on these applications, the information gets parsed into the rest of the application, and then you can go through and manage that application and change anything around if it didn't parse correctly. So some key features for an ATS, I guess you could say this is a behind the scenes for people who work in hiring or recruiting, and things that an ATS will allow them to do. So recruiters will usually filter, or hiring people will usually filter resumes by searching for key skills and job titles. This is called resume parsing. With hundreds of candidates, as we talked about, this is why the tailoring portion is so important. So if you apply to an administrative assistant role and there are 499 other applications, a recruiter might first search the ATS system for administrative assistant to isolate candidates that have had that exact job before. It's okay if you have not had that job title in your work experience section. What you could do is underneath the name on the top of your resume, your name and your contact information, you would put administrative assistant, as that is the job that you are applying for. So by updating the headline, you get that job title on your resume. So the resume parsing is the process of extracting data from resumes like the contact information, work history, your education, and other skills. An applicant tracking system can allow a hiring team to do an advanced search, which allows them to filter applications by specific keywords. Maybe a technology or a programming language is required. Other job titles, experience, and education are some other advanced search filters. There are more, but these are just some of the examples. Candidate sourcing allows teams to actively search for and identify and even reach out to potential candidates for open positions. So if you apply to a job and you aren't necessarily, you don't get the job that you apply for, your application, can stay in their applicant tracking system, and they can use the advanced search to find somebody, or to find through their pool of applicants that they've had before, to source for a new role. Or maybe they're hiring for that role again and they want to review the applicants that came in the first time they hired for the job. Multi-channel candidate sourcing lets companies search for potential candidates using multiple channels like job boards, social media, and employee referrals. An ATS can also be built-in CRM software. If you get a message after you apply to a job or throughout the application process, ATSs do offer email templates. So that is something that companies can take advantage of as well. It also can do some analytics and reporting for them and integrate with different types of software like email marketing or accounting software and CRM systems if it doesn't serve as their internal CRM. Applicant tracking systems can also help schedule interviews, and they can automate many different things for companies. So this is a way for hiring teams to really streamline their process in terms of the hiring process, interviewing, sourcing candidates, vetting candidates, moving forward. So in order to, I guess you could say, get noticed or have a match to the job description that you are applying to, you want to have keywords on your resume and also think about having those high quality keywords. Some keywords can be weighted more than others, and resumes that include these will instantly, stand out. So let's look at this job posting and how you can tailor your resume to a job. The first thing that you need to do is really get in the mindset of what the company is looking for to ensure that this is a match with what you can bring and what you are looking for in work. So let's break down this job posting. We've got three slides on this posting that I've, kind of divided up for a breaking trending news reporter. You can see that this is 100% remote work. It's a full-time job. It does require a degree. It actually lists a salary. So that was a great find there. All right. So this is a remote position with preference of based in the San Antonio area. Now that's just preference. It doesn't mean you have to be there. There's some other information about the company. Advanced Local has an exciting opportunity for a breaking and trending news reporter for Lone Star Live. As a regional website, we seek a vibrant candidate who can identify and report news that appeals to a wide spectrum of audiences and who can flourish in a fast-paced, collaborative setting. Your work should inform, entertain, and challenge our readers. Successful candidate will comfortably write about weather, opening and closing of businesses, and viral stories. Other must-have skills: good news judgment, understanding of SEO, social audiences, and a knack for uncovering stories that speak to the diverse audience. You will generate original news and aggregate headlines from various news and social channels, collaborate closely with the social producer to break news and optimize our digital presence. So a couple skills just from this part. There's mention of writing, reporting, collaboration, social, and SEO. So these are some things that you want to keep in mind as you are going through the rest of the job posting and considering what you will include on your resume. Other information in this job posting. For this position, we are looking for a reporter who can work with speed, creativity, accuracy, and good judgment. We really want to be first to report something, someone who can engage on social media platforms regularly and follow trends, someone who is a news junkie with a pulse on the big stories happening at any given time, someone who has humility, relentless curiosity, and brings passion to reporting, and has skills in digital storytelling via text, photo, and video. All right. The last part of the description, our ideal candidate will have the following: a degree in journalism or communications or equivalent education and related work experience with proven ability in journalism, reporting, and writing, 2 or more years experience building, maintaining, and engaging an active audience, the ability to work independently under deadline pressure and prioritize tasks appropriately, a solid understanding of news writing, journalistic ethics, and story structure, demonstrated capability in capitalizing on high-value topics by engaging audiences in frequency and urgency, mastery of social media and digital interaction, proven ability to utilize a broad set of tools to tell stories and engage the audience. A successful candidate will be able to cover breaking news in person. Coverage includes the creation of breaking news and live interviews for streaming on social media. This job requires reliable transportation to meet with sources or cover events. All right, so what do you think? I'll give you some time in the chat section to add some of the skills that you might add to your resume for this job. What are some of those key words or key skills mentioned on the previous slides and this one that you could include on your resume? Right, we see some coming in. And I'm going to add a few that I picked out. Independent work, yep, prioritization, again, reporting and writing. There's a mention of meeting deadline pressure, so deadline driven. In addition, ethics was mentioned, story structure, and the digital piece of this and social media seems to be a key part of this role. So those are some things that you want to focus on if you have that experience. Of course, you need to be truthful on the experience that you have. I also think that we mentioned adding the job title to your resume, and we'll go over that in a minute. Good job. Thanks, guys. All right, so the document that goes with this, or that is entered into the ATS, I suppose we could look at it that way. There are some general rules for these applicant tracking systems, good rules of thumb to consider. Resume really doesn't need to be any more than 2 pages, so you want to keep the length of your document in mind. Of course, you want to make sure it is error-free, and you play it safe with formatting. Many applicant tracking systems have difficulties scanning or parsing a header and footer. Sometimes that information isn't able to be read at all by the software. An uncommon font or uncommon bullet points like, like a bullseye or something like that. You want to stick to the really simple square and round bullets. Graphics and images or photos also are difficult, and margins that are smaller than 1/2 an inch kind of mess with the system as well. You can add a bit of color to your resume, but it is not a document. A resume document needs to be easy to read by a human, of course, that's the goal. But color can also, using different color other than like blue, gray, and black, is not necessarily something that an applicant tracking system loves. So if you are applying, in terms of color too, I'll just make a point. If you are applying within more traditional industries like banking or finance or IT, you really want to probably stick to the more traditional colors of just using black and then white space on your document. We look at the top portion of the resume. This is where you want to include your name, of course, and your contact information. That includes your phone number, email address, your LinkedIn URL, and your city, state, and zip code. You do not need to list a physical address. City and state is fine, and you can add the zip code. You also want to include the job title. You can include this in a line directly under your first and last name. In this visual, this is actually underneath the contact information, the job title, breaking trending news reporter, which is fine as well. That leads, into the summary and skills section. And remember, keywords matter. And this is a great section to focus on when you are adding keywords to your resume. The top of the fold, we call it, the top, first third of the first page of your resume. So Use the keywords that you see from the job posting. And if you are applying for a remote position, you could list how you've worked remotely, or if you don't have remote work experience, that you have the skills necessary to work within a remote environment. And we do have a webinar that covers how to write your resume for a remote job. So that's a really good companion webinar to this webinar as well. So you're going to include your skills in the top profile summary, and make sure that you pay close attention to how things are worded in the job posting, even down to the nitty-gritty. If they're asking for verbal communication skills, don't list oral communication skills, because our application is going to go into this ATS, this computer system, or this computer program might not be programmed to know that oral and verbal are the same, even though people know that, right? So the profile summary reads as a dynamic, knowledgeable, and trend-forward news reporter with a track record of leveraging expertise of current events and good news judgment. Good news judgments from the job posting. Extensive experience writing and reporting with speed, creativity, and accuracy, also from the job posting. An innovative, forward-thinking professional with a growth mindset and experience in social media, SEO, and digital storytelling. These are more keywords. An open-minded reporter who thrives in fast-paced environments. Being in a fast-paced environment was mentioned on the job posting. And then able to pitch and accurately write original content around timely topics. Also, some key skills have been included from other keywords found on the job posting: prioritization, creative, editing, writing, reporting. So those are some things that were important to include. And you can see also social media. Time management was added, accuracy, fact checking, and research as well. So you aren't only adding the keywords. You want to show, how well-rounded you are. And this is a way that you can do it in the top section of your resume. Now, if you go to the middle portion of your resume, which is really the experience section, here's what you can do in the experience section. This is where you're going to highlight accomplishments and qualifications the employer is seeking from candidates. So there's some writing experience. There's 2 years of writing experience, if I remember correctly. And it's important not only to reflect your tasks, but to paint a picture of what you've done well. Just as you would in a job interview, use the STAR method to provide measurable results. Write about the situation, task, action, and the result, and what were the results of your actions. What was accomplished because you completed the task? What goals did you reach? Who was helped? What was improved? How did the company benefit as a result of you doing that task? These are questions you can ask yourself to sort of enhance the task-oriented bullets. If you are working remotely, include this information in line with the job title or the organization. Update your employment dates to the month, year format, because this is the ATS preferred format. All right, the first position on this slide is an active career break, and we do realize that not everyone in the webinar today is currently on a career break or out of work, but many might be or have had a break. So we just wanted to include a visual too of how you can include a career break on your resume if you need to do that. This allows you to maintain control over your career narrative and allow you to explain very briefly why you might be on a career break. So an employer or the person looking at your resume doesn't insert their own assumptions. It also adds the dates to the ATS system as an entry into work experience. All right, after you do your work experience section, you might add your education section. We recommend adding a technology section first, and you can put your education section at the bottom. This is important because it reflects your ability to work and collaborate within a virtual environment. So this is and specific platforms that might be listed in the job posting. Even if this is not a remote job or it's a hybrid job, it's important to show some new technologies just so an employer knows that you are up to date and you have the ability to learn and use new tech tools. So you could add the remote collaboration tools. Social media was key on this job posting or within the job posting. So specific social media tools make sense to include. And any other SEO, or, you could add WordPress or something like that if you had that experience, just to show kind of the variety of technology tools that you know. I also really like a line like able to quickly learn new technology and tools. That just sort of shows a growth mindset and is something really simple you can add to your resume, particularly if you have the space. Then you want to include your education. You don't need to include the graduation date if your education is 3 years older or more and you have that work experience. So it's not required to include that on your resume. Some common questions that we come across when we're working with job seekers. Some people ask about not having a degree and if a degree is required on the job. So we recommend adding terminology in the education section that says 10 years of experience in lieu of a bachelor's degree or something along those lines. That way you're getting the word bachelor's degree on the resume, and it will I guess, connect to that keyword that might be filtered into the ATS entry for that particular job posting. How important are keywords in your resume? Very. Hopefully that's one takeaway you have from today. If you don't take time to tailor the resume that you have, that you're using to apply for the job, and have it reflect the key terms and phrases from the job posting, the system might place your application low so that your information never ends up, kind of to the top of the list, if you will. I imagine it sometimes, if somebody's looking for, if there's hundreds of applicants and a hiring person enters in the top 5 key skills that somebody would want, and let's say you included 4, maybe their search results are 25 applicants per page and there's 5 pages of results, right? They're going to start obviously on the first 25 and go from there. And so you just want to make sure that you sort of are rising to the top of the search results that somebody might use. So again, you don't have to meet 100% of what the employer is looking for. You want to show the skills you do have and make a case for the transferable skills that you have as well. People ask, are recruiters looking at the resume or hiring people looking at the resume? And the answer is yes. Some people or some organizations will look through all of the applications, and some will go by search. That's why, we do also recommend the soonest you apply after the job is posted, that's better. That's great. And then, of course, why tailoring matters so much. We also get questions about, well, I am tailoring my resume and I am not seeing results. What does that mean? And there are a number of different things involved here. How often do you apply to jobs? The latest statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, USBLS, says, most people are looking for work for upwards of 5 months. It can take 10 to 20 applications to land one interview. And if you're only applying 1 to 2 times a week, that's putting a lot of faith and leaning into those 1 to 2 applications a lot. You want to think about the formatting of your resume. You might not be hearing back just based on numbers. This is totally out of your control. But as we've talked about, employers receive hundreds of applications for one job posting, and really, maybe 20% receive interviews. And so, that is one thing that's happening right now, is the volume of applicants is very high. Think about other aspects of what an employer might see of you aside from your resume. Like, does your LinkedIn and any other social media present you in a way that says you are the best fit for this job? 90% of employers will look at your LinkedIn. 70% will be looking at your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. And also, maybe you're not including a cover letter or a tailored cover letter. This is something that you could consider to evaluate and make changes as you're going through the job search process. Are you networking? Are you following up on job applications? There are many reasons that there might it might feel like, excuse me, you've hit a wall. Making adjustments and pushing forward is necessary, and you will get to your end goal of landing a job. Here are some resume writing resources. We have a sample library that you can click on the resources section and get that today. We'll also send it in the recap. We update these regularly to ensure they're current with the changing job market. And so go ahead and grab that link. JobScan is a useful resume optimization tool that will check your resume when you first start updating it for each application to make sure you've got the hang of incorporating keywords from the job listing into your resume. JobScan is paid, but they let you try a sample scan for free. And as a FlexJobs member, if you are a FlexJobs member, you will get a free 2-week trial for job scans, and you have to be logged into your account to see that. AI tools are a really great resource that are newer. So if you're using ChatGPT or Google Gemini to help write your resume or get started writing your resume, there are some things you want to be mindful of before you start. Having ChatGPT or Google Gemini write your resume from scratch is not advisable. You need to put it into your own words, but giving these tools a prompt like write a resume for insert the job title based on this job description, can paste the job description, or write a resume for a blank job title at this company. Those are going to cause some issues because ChatGPT or Gemini doesn't necessarily know your experience, and it will create inaccurate or false information about your past skills and accomplishment. So what you want to do is you can have those prompts, but you want to make sure that you give this tool that you use source material to work with, which would be your existing resume. So that ChatGPT or Google Gemini have a better understanding of what your experience and skills are so that they can help give you ideas for how you can match the keywords to the job posting. This also will improve the accuracy of the results you get. You still want to make sure that you review the information that are provided once you give it a chat like that. So you might say, here is my resume. I would like to apply for a blank digital marketing role at this company. Here is the job posting. Please write a resume that matches the job description using keywords and skills that I have, and make sure that it is 10 to 15 years of experience. You can get as specific as you want, and then you can see the output from the AI tool and go forward from there. All right. I will also say before we talk about the last bullet, anything that you use in an AI tool, it needs to be updated and in your voice. Don't copy what AI gives you and paste it on a new document and upload that to the resume. Another resource for resume writing is My Perfect Resume, and so we'll share that link in the recap as well. All right. Here's what you want to do. Assume that the employer is using an ATS. The majority of employers are using them to help streamline their hiring processes. So then you want to review your resume formatting to make sure an ATS can read and parse the information. Analyze the description of the jobs you are going to apply for. Underline, highlight keywords from those descriptions, and then tailor your resume to reflect them. If you want to try out JobScan, or any of the other tools that we mentioned, go ahead and do that to help you streamline your application process as well. If you are applying via email, it is okay. If you have an email address direct to a person, you could use a PDF a PDF file. But if it's an ATS and you're uploading your resume, we do recommend using a Word document. All right. As promised, we have questions and we'll get to those in a second. I want to call attention to the flexjobs.com/blog website. Please, if you have any other questions or need any other resources in your job search, please check that out. There is so much information there that's really helpful for job seekers. So we always encourage you to go there, and let's go ahead and get to some of these questions. Hey, everybody, this is Tony. I am the lead career expert here at FlexJobs. I did work to answer some of the questions that came in because I know we have a lot. And I did see in the chat there were a couple suggestions to maybe copy and paste the keywords from the job description and add those to your resume in white text or hidden font. Please, please, please do not do that. There is a recruiter and a career advisor on here who also advised against doing that. That will be discovered and it will be uh, not favorably viewed by the people who are hiring. So you do not want to use any white or hidden text to increase the number of keywords you have on your resume. You don't want to be deceptive. So let's talk about some of these other questions that we have here. What are 5 websites that provide testing of your resume and how it will do with ATS systems such as Greenhouse and Lever for a specific job posting on LinkedIn, like JobScan, but better and bigger? Well, I can't confirm if they're better and bigger, but there are some other resources that you could use. There's some different word cloud resources. You could just type in word cloud in Google and find that. My Perfect Resume, Resume Check by Resume Builder, and let's see, en- Enhance V. So like Enhance CV is also another tool. I have not used those other than My Perfect Resume and JobScan. So those are just some that I found while we were chatting. I'm a 60-year-old professional. Any tips for customizing my resume to avoid age discrimination? Yes, and we have a lot of webinars on this particular topic. So just really briefly, you only need to share 10 to 15 years of your work experience. You don't want to have a dated resume with an objective and references available on request, as well as your resume should not include graduation dates of your education. If utilizing AI to help with resume and cover letters, can the ATS track this? I read earlier that recruiters are putting cover letters into an AI program to see if it was created by AI and it will tell them if it has or hadn't. Is this correct? Yes. Well, that makes a lot of sense to me. I have done some reading that says that recruiters or people who are hiring can indeed tell if somebody has used AI to generate their cover letter and resume. That's why these tools should be approached and used as a tool, just that, a tool, not the be all end all to, create things for you that you can upload and send as your own work. You do not want to do that. Oftentimes, information that comes back using these tools, it does not. Like if you were to take it and copy it, it wouldn't sound like you wrote it. So you still want to take care and concern in making sure that if you're using some of the ideas, action verbs, the way that they word a resume to have the situation, action, and result in terms of your bullets, you are adjusting that to be in your tone and your voice. And maybe most importantly, is reflective of your actual experience and results. And so you can use this as a tool. It can help you brainstorm. It can help you be more efficient and increase your productivity because it speeds up the brainstorming. At least I find that with me. But you cannot take that as your own work. What is the best way to document a current gap in job history for ATS systems? Is listing that time as just freelance acceptable? If you have done freelance versus a full time job while you are looking for a full time job or in lieu of a full time job, absolutely you can add freelance work or consulting work or however you want to word it in just like you would a regular salaried job in your work experience section. If you didn't do any freelance work and maybe you were volunteering or you were upskilling and doing certifications, then you could list that as an active career break or a career break on your resume. Is it true ATS times and grades you on resumes and cover letters? Hopefully this presentation was helpful to kind of get a slight sneak peek behind the scenes. The way that these tools are used for companies varies, of course, but it is a way for um, hiring and that process within each organization to be more streamlined. So, is it a grade? Certainly the more relevant your application is to the job that you are applying for, the more likely it is that when a person who is looking to find the right candidates goes to their system to look through all their applicants, the more visible you'll be, whether that means you're ranked in a certain order or the person is typing in keywords and skills from the job description and looking at the search results. Imagine if there's, 400 people that apply for a job and they type in the top 5 key skills that they're looking for, and there are, in whatever system they're using, it returns that list 25 per page, right? So they're going to start with 1 through 25 and scanning and perusing those. And that's why it's important for you to try to match and make the case and illustrate how you are a good fit for that role for the company who is working through many, many applications. How do ATS factor in related experience when you are in a career transition? Do the years that you worked at a related job count towards the total years of experience that they are looking for? Will this always score low? This is dependent upon how the company sets it up. This is why if you are going through a career transition, a cover letter can really be a very helpful, useful tool for you. I personally have anecdotal evidence of that with my job here. Some of you may have heard me talk about that before, but one of the things that you can do, let's say you're applying for an administrative assistant role and you've been an office manager. Office manager would be your job title, but in parentheses, you might put administrative assistant. Or in one of your bullets, you might use the phrase administrative assistant, if you can work it in, or maybe you would work it in your profile summary so that you are getting that verbiage on your resume versus even though you've not had that job title. And that can help in the system. Now, when somebody is reading your documentation, certainly they're looking at your related experience and making those connections as to how it can help. Um, and they can visualize you in that role, even though you don't have that set title or that number of years of experience. And that's okay. An employer is giving a wish list of what they are looking for. You do not need to meet 100% of the criteria that they have listed for the job. We always suggest if you have 60% or more of what they are looking for, it's highly likely that you can put together a competitive application, resume, and cover letter for the job. And then that is what your task is to do beyond that, is to put that together. Is it better to upload documents in Word or PDF? I think we talked about this briefly. Your application is going to give you the name or the type of formatted document or PDF file that you can upload. It will say PDF, docx, or whatever. That's fine. We have found in our experience that a Word docx is the easiest, most reliable thing to upload to parse the most correctly. You still might have to make some changes when it parses into the application. Sometimes those things get out of order. That's what we found. That does not mean that a PDF won't work. You have to pay attention to the file types that are accepted when you apply. Um, let's see. With applications that require a cover letter, does the ATS search them too? Yes. If your cover letter is required, that would be something that all that data is collected and analyzed for the position that you are applying for. All right, we answered some of these. Let's see. The dashboard in these systems for internal recruiters is going to be, it'll look different based on the system that they're using. Why do some systems ask for a graduation date? How do you get around that? Adding all zeros or all ones in the date does not work. Well, that's the suggestion that we have had from ageism experts who have been speakers with us. So if that doesn't work and it is a required field, you do have to enter it. There isn't a way around it. Those are just some workarounds that people have tried in the past that have worked. If I applied for a job beginning of February, is it safe to say if I haven't heard back that I didn't make it past the ATS program to get an interview? It doesn't necessarily mean you didn't make it past the ATS program. It might mean that they have interviewed other candidates and their process at their organization is not necessarily to contact all of the applicants who applied and told them they've moved in another direction. I would say if the job is not posted on their website anymore, yes, it is likely that you won't be contacted for that job at this time. This is a good question that reminds me of what I like to remind job seekers of, in that it is important as you are in the job search, and many of you have shared that you do this, you apply to multiple jobs a day or a week. Continue to do that. It's as though you're filling your pipeline with job opportunities for yourself. You don't want to wait to hear back from one job before you apply to another job. It's just too competitive to do that right now. And so continue to apply to jobs, keep yourself moving, network with relevant companies or people at those companies to give you a little bit of assistance and hopefully some momentum in your job search. Um, all right. Well, it looks like we are out of time. We got through a lot of questions. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Hopefully, this was helpful. We are back this afternoon for a members-only Q&A if you're a FlexJobs member. And also tomorrow, we do have another webinar and a TikTok Live. I will be doing a Q&A on TikTok tomorrow at noon Eastern. So if you didn't get your question answered today and you'd like to come and ask tomorrow, please go ahead and do that. We always appreciate you giving time to us in your day, and you'll be able to get the recording within the next several days. So thank you so much. Bye, everybody.